Welcome to Buckets. This is Action Network's basketball betting podcast presented by BetMGM. I'm your host, Maria Marino. I was out last week. I was gallivanting in France. Luckily, Matt Moore filled in for me talking a little WNBA playoff preview. Well, now the playoffs are well underway, and I'm joined once again by her hoop stats analyst, Dano Mataya. Super happy to be back with you, my friend.
It's so good to have you back in the States. I think I went like 1-3 over these first round games. I needed my Maria Magic back, but we saw the Liberty cover in white for the first time. Seeing Sabrina like live in the moment. I'm in Florida right now for work, and I'm really sad that I can't be there for game 2. But it's I don't know if anyone is owning the moment lately, like Sabrina in the clutch. It's straight up gorgeous. I'm sure you couldn't watch live because you're, I don't know, probably, 4 a.m. your time in Paris, but it's so good to have you back. Love
Thank you.
the upcoming games. We got a game 3 coming up too
I
between the
know.
Lynx and
And I have thoughts on that
Lynx and
game,
the Sun.
by the way.
Ooh, love it.
Well, you're right. I didn't get to watch the Libs and Mystics live in game 1, but I sure as hell dialed up the highlights as soon as I woke up in the morning. And I mean, what can I say? You mentioned it. Sabrina tends to rise to the occasion. I was watching and I noticed she was a little quiet in the first half, but there's a reason why I call her second half Sab. And then ends up draining a total of 7 threes. Props to Benaja Laney for keeping the Liberty in it in that first half. And let's be honest, this was a tough, I want to say a pretty tough draw for the Liberty, all things considered. The Washington Mystics shouldn't be the seed that they are. It's just that they suffered so many injuries throughout the season that really just derailed their record. So a tougher matchup than I think the Liberty deserve, but they handled it in game 1. So let's talk about game 2. It's win or go home for the Mystics. 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And the Liberty are laying 10.5 points. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, there's a little more added fear in taking an underdog when the Liberty can show you what they did. But when you factor in the fact that you got 21 points out of Maisha Hines-Allen from the Mystics, I think that's a season high from her, and you got 10 out of Breanna Stewart, who's had basically back-to-back rough games, like rough against the Mystics. She's 0 for 10 from 3 in the last 2 games. So something's got to give. I don't think they let Sab go 6 for 7 from 3 in the second half again. I still think the Mystics have a lot of pride, one. So double-digit spread is definitely something that probably hits the psyche and motivates. So that's one aspect. Two, if you follow Kareem Copeland from the Washington Post on Twitter, he's posted a lot of quotes from players and the coaches about how much they're emphasizing defense. And Natasha Cloud even said she's guarding Sabrina full court 40 minutes. They were able to get her open a lot from the pick and roll and other movement off the ball. And, also Sabrina was pulling from like 5 feet behind the three-point line. So I don't see Sabrina going off like this again. I could see Stewie finally getting back to form. I don't think we see her have 3 really bad shooting nights in a row, but all things considered, it's an elimination game. Mystics are going to have some pride. They're way better than a 7 seed. So I will, again, take the Mystics plus 10.5 on the road. I still hope the Liberty take care of business and win. Gives me a lot of room to be happy here. I do like, with these quotes coming out, taking a couple props here. I do like Sabrina under 3.5 threes. That's at plus money. And then we haven't seen Stewie make a 3 in 2 games, but 3 threes is plus 480. I don't mind sprinkling a little bit there, but that's how I see this game. I think the Mystics definitely make it competitive and try to guard Sav a little bit more. Benaja Laney's been basically unstoppable for the last month of the season. She's almost guaranteed to give you at least 16 points. So, I think there's still going to be scoring there. All now 5 of these matchups have gone over. So I don't hate taking the over, especially in an elimination game. But I'm leaning and picking the Mystics to cover 10.5 points.
I see your point. I like the pick. I'm not going to actually bet this myself. I'm feeling a little I got to step back for a second. I just got back in the States a day or two ago. I'm going to the game tonight. I
Love
feel
that.
like my perspective, especially being a Liberty fan, might be slightly clouded. But that being said, everything you said I agree with. I see the Mystics fighting or not going down without a fight. I think the Liberty, should take care of business as you said, but you know, to win by 11 plus is a lot. And I definitely, like I said, can see this being, maybe it's not Maisha Hines Allen this time, but maybe it's somebody else stepping up. So I like the pick. And like I said, I'm going to the game. So I'm expecting a thriller. I'm looking forward to a thriller. I'm looking forward to that arena rocking. The Libs fans have been showing out, and that crowd is really tough to face as a road team. But this Mystics team is very experienced. They seem to be vibing with their coach. I know there's been question marks about him throughout the season, but they're going to be prepared. They've had a few days of rest, so yeah, I agree with you. I could see the Mystics covering here. And look, we have another game as well tonight. It's the Dream at Dallas. Wings are laying 6.5. It's at 9 Eastern on ESPN. So this is another win or go home scenario for the Dream. Talk about a wild game one, range of emotions. The Dream, they've been more like a nightmare at times this season, especially for bettors, because they show flashes of being amazing, and then they show sort of some immaturity and lack of I guess discipline to finish games, and that's what you saw. Huge comeback by the Wings. And how do you see this one shaping up?
I don't see the Dream building a 20-point lead again. That was way
Right.
too fun. Um, I credit to Brendan Glasheen, who was being my emotional support friend while I bet way too much live on the Wings that game. But they still covered the full game spread, being down 20 with like 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. I mean, it was incredible. Uh, and I don't think you're getting another 36 points from Ryan Howard again. I mean, unconscious shooting.
Mm.
She's a great player, but like just statistically improbable that she's going to perform at that level again. Uh, I do think the Wings just have way too much size. We saw it. I mean, there's so many possessions where they're looking to just get a shot up, and you have Tierra McCowan down low to get a putback. So I still think this is the outside of the Aces sky, probably the most lopsided in terms of actual actual skill level between the teams. Wings have depth and too much size. I think I'm feeling comfortable taking the favorite again at minus 6.5.
Yeah.
They're just they're too good. Satu's playing incredible. They had nothing going for them offensively. They had no reason to win that game one, let alone cover. And they were smooth sailing basically with 7 minutes to go. Never gave up the lead again. I think only two other players scored for the Dream in the fourth or in the fourth quarter, besides Ryan Howard making two different baskets. So they just don't have enough. Credit to them. They tried hard all year. They'll probably deem this season as a success. But I love the Wings, and it was probably good that they got a wake up call in that first half because they've shown what they can be throughout this whole season. So I think it's a lot less stressful, and they take it minus 6.5.
I'm totally with you. I just think, to your point, it was kind of a blessing in disguise for them to come out and sort of get a punch in the gut in that first half of game one. I think it probably woke them up. Satu played amazing. I wonder if she has another 30 piece in her. But I don't necessarily think that that's what the Wings need in order to win the game handily. Um, I think they have the size that it just makes everything so difficult for a team like the Dream that's more undersized. And the Wings are just flat out the better team. Uh, look, you want to get this series over with, and I just feel like the gap here is greater than some of the other matchups that we're seeing. So I'm with you. I really like the Wings -6.5 here. So I think we're looking at um, I think we're looking at these series ending tonight, and you know, we have another game Wednesday, so we have to figure out who's going to be playing in the semifinals for sure on Sunday. But before we get to that, I did want to remind everyone Buckets is presented by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if your first bet loses. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, before we get to the Wednesday game, anything else you wanted to add on Dream Wings?
No, I gave it out on the pod last week, but exacta play is still there for the future. If you like the Wings, take them to beat the Liberty in the finals. Get a little bit of a better value there. I think it's probably less than 25 to 1 now. I haven't checked, but the
Uh-huh.
exacta was plus 4,200 when we gave it out last week. It's still possible. They have so much size, so don't hate taking it now. Having another dog in this race. Of course, I got to get through Vegas, who looks incredible,
Yes.
but still, I'm so glad we don't have to go another 2 days without basketball because we have this next game.
Yes, exactly. Well, I appreciate that. Definitely a fun little long shot there. But as mentioned, the Lynx escape with a victory out of Connecticut on Sunday. So they even the series with the Sun, 1 game apiece. So now they play Wednesday, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Sun are favored by 4.5. And I'm going to just jump in here, Dano. This is how I feel about the game. I'm taking the Sun -4.5 because all I'm picturing is Alyssa Thomas pissed, just flying all the way to Minnesota for really no reason. The Lynx had really no business taking a game from the Sun, and I know that they were leading for the majority of game two. But watching that game, the Sun, they had a chance. They got within 3 points, I believe, maybe 2 points. Uh, and I'm thinking, this is the pivotal moment, one or two key plays, and they just let it slip away. And I know that they know that. Um, they're the better team. We know Nafisa Collier is, MVP esque. Kayla McBride also had an amazing night, I believe 28 points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that those two are going to combine for 50 plus again. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that. And I see the Sun as just being so pissed. It's definitely a motivational spot. They should not be in Minnesota right now. They should not have to play this game. And if they lose, I mean, it would be just a shocker, a complete shocker, a complete disappointment. They won a franchise best 27 games this year. Like, they have no business losing this game. And I think they can win by 5 as well. And by the way, as a side note, I was curious, what did the Sun do ATS after a loss? On the season, I have them at 7-5 ATS after a loss, but 4-0 ATS after a loss in the last month, which is when I feel like they've really sort of hit their stride and established themselves as a contender. I know they're not, Liberty Aces level, but they are a much better team than the Minnesota Lynx have been all year, and they should not lose this game, and they should win it comfortably.
Yeah, I think I agree
Did I
with
tell you?
basically everything you just said. To me, it's simple, and I'm getting a gust of wind here outside at the office. It's like God really wants me to go in on the sun, I guess. But but I like being at home in this game three is definitely like somewhat of a factor, for sure.
Hmm.
Uh, I do think I heard it's already sold out. Pressure is going to be high, but like you said, after a loss, this is where the defense kind of turns up a bit for the Sun. Defense was pretty bad compared to what they usually are uh, holding opponents to, especially at home. So definitely think there's going to be a forced emphasis there. And there's too much on the line. I really think AT's got a shot at winning the MVP. I think they're going to get some great calls in this game, too. I think it just makes more sense to have the Sun play the Liberty. So I just think besides them just being like statistically better than them all season, and I mean I think I said it with Matt, like the Lynx have one of the worst net ratings of any team in the playoffs. I think they're
Yep.
10th or 11th in the league. So uh, they got a great game, had a great game plan, and the Sun don't really win too many games by 2 to 4 points. It's like they handle their opponents, and then they don't get in those situations in the fourth quarter where it's like, oh, what do we need? A Dewana Bonner three.
Yes.
That we saw a lot of that stagnant offense in the fourth quarter. So I think they get up early and they shut it down and don't get into one of these messy situations where they're wondering who gets the ball in the final minute when they really need a bucket. So I'm with you. I think 4.5 is probably too small of a line here for a team that, like you said, is 4-0 against spread after a loss. So I'm with you. Definitely like the Sun tomorrow.
Okay, I'm glad you feel that way. Let's remember they beat the Lynx by 30 in game one. Like, kudos to Cheryl Reeve, who's a wizard and a great coach. And look, they obviously have talent. Like I said, the Lynx do. And mixed in with some youth, and all credit to them. But they played their best, pretty much their best possible game in game two, and we're very close to letting it slip away. And I understand Nafisa experienced some lower back tightness. I do wonder about that as well moving forward. Um, but they had to play flawlessly for that to happen. And um, I think the Sun on their best day beats the Lynx on their best day. So that's how I feel. That's how I'm riding with this one, sticking to it. And that's going to do it for Buckets presented by BetMGM. Thanks so much for listening. Dano Mataya, thank you once again for joining me. Definitely was thinking of you while in Paris, not only because you visited there not that long ago, but we both share a love for Marine Johannes, who is a French native, of course. Hoping she has a big night tonight
Yes.
in Brooklyn. But we will be back next Tuesday as playoffs continue, so don't miss it. And a reminder, download the award-winning Action app, rate and review this podcast as well, and you can win some cool prizes. Let's get buckets.